What's up, everyone, and happy Oscar Day, and this is, welcome to Real Me and Colin, a movie podcast where you didn't really ask for it, but hey, I'm gonna give it to you anyways. I'm super excited, guys. As you can tell, it is Oscar Day, one of my favorite days of the year. Anyways, this is a podcast where I talk about anything, everything, and anything about movies. I'm your host, Chase Sleet, and hey, guys, listen, you know, if you were searching on the internet for, I don't know, some just weird porn, I don't know what you guys are into nowadays. I don't know what the kids are into some weird shit, you know? And so if you accidentally came across this movie podcast and you're not a movie fan, well, hopefully I can convince you to be one. This is episode 170, guys, and if you're new to the show, welcome. Once again, hopefully I didn't scare you off too much. What I do on the show is I take a look at some of the movie news, movie trailers that kind of come out throughout the week. I will have my reviews of reviews of movies that come out on the weekend that I am recording on, and of course box office results for that weekend. So yeah, without any further ado, guys, let's get this started. Yeah, so first, before we begin, please like, share, subscribe, do all that shit, spread this around and let people know this is a decent podcast. You know, it's not going to make your ears bleed too much, but it's okay. It's passable. Anyways, on this week's episode, I will, the main review, the one that's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and it's just slaying positively in all directions, critic and audience-wise, that would be Get Out, the new horror film from Blumhouse Productions and the first directorial debut from comedian Jordan Peele. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, so but we'll get to that in just a second. We got to talk about some other stuff happening in the world of movies first, but first, before I begin, this actually just broke right as I started recording. Bill Paxton has passed away at age 61. It said it was from complications of surgery, and that's just really disheartening. I mean, I like the guy as an actor, and I even like him as a director. If you guys have not seen Frailty, that is a very creepy type of horror thriller and whatnot. It almost had like the same type of like vibe as Get Out almost. So, but yeah, it's really sad and stuff. So I'm gonna dedicate this episode to Bill Paxton, and all my thoughts go out to his friends and family. And it's pretty cool to have you know, an actor / director representing from Texas, since that's where I was born and that's where I currently live right now. So yeah, rest in peace, Bill Paxton. You will be missed. Definitely one of the best. We lost one way too soon. Okay, so let's get into some movie news, guys. You guys ready for this shit? I'm ready for this shit. Okay, so the first piece of news, we have the new X-Men movie coming on the red carpet earlier. Last week it was Sophie Turner who played Jean Grey, good old you know, Dark Phoenix in X-Men Apocalypse. She was on the red carpet, and she was like, yeah, I just finished Game of Thrones and whatnot, and we're going to be filming the X-Men movie in the fall. And that kind of caught everyone off guard, so that's kind of raised a bunch of questions like, oh, man, they have a script ready? They have a director ready? What the hell's going on over there? 20th Century Fox, all your actors are leaking like sieves, okay? Can we just calm that shit down? But that's okay. I like hearing about that stuff. But the director on the horizon is going to be interesting because their number one pick that kind of got swirling around in like the executive offices is Simon Kinberg. Now you're probably wondering, like, who the hell is this guy? Is this like the guy that works at the 7-Eleven down the street? Well, possibly. But for this Simon Kinberg, this guy is responsible for bringing most of the X-Men films and, you know, Fantastic Four, unfortunately, and even Deadpool to the big screen. As well as, you know, Logan, the new one coming out. He's heavily involved into the X-Men universe, and he's got a good sense of producing and writing and stuff, and he really kind of knows this universe inside now. Now, when I've watched the behind-the-scenes of, like, X-Men Apocalypse or, like, Days of Future Past, he is one of those on-set producers. He's not one of those dudes that sits in the back in a director's chair eating a fucking burrito and just like, oh, that was fucking good, and just leaves and takes a shit and fucks the hooker in the trailer next door. No, he's not like that. Well, I mean, he might do that stuff, and more power to you, sir. But from all the behind-the-scenes stuff I've seen, he really seems kind of passionate. He really understands these comics, and he really wants to be involved as a hands-on producer. So he's being tapped to direct it. Now, this is going to be his first directorial movie. I'm kind of mixed on it because on one hand, it is nice to actually have someone within the universe that's been in there for decades, and it's not just like one producer on one X-Men film. No, he's been involved in a lot of them. He's written a lot of things. He really understands like comic books and how to make stories cohesive in that genre. So to see him tackle directing is not like it's not really as big of a like cautious leap as that one guy that like directed a commercial one time, and then now he's going to direct a big blockbuster. Usually I like to see directors cut their teeth with like smaller indie film or whatnot, but on the other hand, it's like, well, he's been around these movies for a long time, and he's responsible as one of the producers to deliver that movie from start to finish, and for the most part, he's delivered a good job. So I'm wondering like how his directing style would be. I'm all for it, but at the same time, I can understand the hesitation from people because he's never directed a movie ever. Like it'd be different if like Kim Berg like directed like a smaller film in the past, or like hell, even a music video to some degree. Because if you look at like David Fincher's career, he came from music video background, and he went straight into movies. He did smaller ones at first, but he eventually built up his repertoire. So with Simon Kinberg, you figure like that would probably be the better route to go. So I'm kind of mixed on it, where I look at one hand and go, okay, he's deep into the universe, like knee deep, balls deep, whatever you want to call it. And so he knows everything, but at the same time, he's never directed anything. So I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this story. I guess for right now, I'm a lean towards I'm okay with it, but I'm a very cautiously be optimistic. So it's exciting that a new X-Men movie is coming, but it's very interesting to see if Simon Kinberg ends up directing. The next piece of news. This is the biggest fucking piece of news I have seen in quite some time in my 3 years of doing this show. Usually, actually, it's almost 4 years. Woo, I'm getting old, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, in my many episodes of doing this show, I rarely run into a story where like I get super excited. Where like most of the time I'll be like, oh, that's a great piece of news. I want to talk about that. This is the type of news that's going to change the game, change the industry as we know it. The Irishman is supposed to be Scorsese's next big movie, and I'm a huge Scorsese fan, all the way from Taxi Driver all the way up until now with his current one, Silence. I think he's a masterful director of what he does, and especially for someone at his age, it's just impressive to see him kind of work the camera like fucking butter and work the story just so seamlessly, and like he just has such a smooth, intense directing style. It's always palpable on screen. You can't look away, especially when you watch Wolf of Wall Street. And the guy's in his 70s making a movie that looks like someone my age made. So, anyways, Scorsese's next film is going to be The Irishman. Now, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and they were supposed to get Joe Pesci to come back. He said he wouldn't, but I really hope Scorsese just goes to his house and, just hands him like a box, like full of, I don't know, what is Joe Pesci like? Like, I don't know, dead pigeons and like half-eaten Snickers bars. Whatever the fuck this guy likes, you need to get a bunch of it. You need to go persuade him. You need to smoogie him. You need to go take him out to dinner. You need to fuck him later. You need to do whatever it takes to get Joe Pesci in this movie. And that's all I'm going to say about it. But De Niro and Pacino, that's a good start. And they're going to use the whole de-aging technology to make him look younger because it takes place in a different era. So The Irishman's coming out. I'm super excited, right? And so I'm like, okay, what studio is going to release this? There's going to be no studio that releases this. It's going to be Netflix. So get this, right? So last week, the CEO of Paramount stepped down. And Paramount is responsible for the last few Scorsese movies to be released in theaters. They did Wolf of Wall Street and Silence. And Silence fucking tanked at the box office. It made like $9 million, and its budget is definitely not that because it's Scorsese. So they kind of dropped the ball on that one. So he leaves, right? I have a feeling that The Irishman was supposed to come out through Paramount, and I believe the deal was still through them. but I think like it dropped or something like that, and so Netflix actually swooped in there, like someone sliding into your fucking DMs, fam, and they snatched that thing up, and now The Irishman is gonna debut on Netflix. What? Like, listen, we live in a world where a Martin Scorsese movie is gonna be released on Netflix. What the fuck is this, ladies and gentlemen? Like, what is life anymore? Listen, I get excited anytime when a Scorsese movie comes out, but the fact that it's going to be streamed on Netflix for all the subscribers to see, and it's actually going to have more eyes on it, that gets me super pumped, man. Not only that, if they release it in a theater for a week, they can qualify for the Oscars. Can you imagine if The Irishman won Best Picture? The producers and like the head Netflix dudes would be on stage. This is incredible. You would have never thought like 10 years ago that Netflix would be in the Oscar game. You just wouldn't, because back in the day, before they did streaming, they just did straight up DVDs and renting them out and whatnot through mail. And I remember doing that service. And once I found out they did streaming, I was like, well, fuck that. I'm gonna do the streaming one, even though I know that streaming does not have as many options as the mail option. But the fact that they're at this point and they can snatch up movies from a Martin Scorsese and debut it on Netflix. Guys, this is the wave of the future. This is going to change the game indefinitely, because this is not anything new, by the way. We do have Amazon Studios, I think, being the first one to have a Best Picture nominee, because they produced Manchester by the Sea this year, and that is up for Best Picture. So I think Amazon Studios is the first one out of the big three. That the big three being Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon. But this just goes to show, ladies and gentlemen, that these streaming services and these type of like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Studios, they're a real threat in the Oscar game, which is super exciting, because if you look at what Netflix does, they produce like 99% gold. There's a couple little trinklets, little turd droplets or whatever. They're like, ooh, that's Netflix. Why'd you put your name on that? But for the most part, they pick up movies that they see are going to do pretty well on the streaming services. They create TV shows. They have amazing fan followings. Like, for instance, I really, I've adored House of Cards since I first saw it, and that was 5 years ago, and they're still going strong with all the other shows that they have encompassing the service. So this is just amazing news. I will watch it on Netflix. I will go to the theater and pay for it. I don't care. It's Scorsese. I will give my left nut and my life to this man and all the films that he creates, because he's one of my favorites. So, but the fact that Netflix scooped this up, that is amazing to me, because I actually did the math on it. So they have 91 million subscribers, roughly 91, 92. I forgot what the actual number was, but I times that by $11 per person. Netflix almost makes $1 billion a month just on subscription fees. Huh? That is so much goddamn money. They can literally throw $100 million at a movie like The Irishman, a big hit release, and be like, yeah, we'll give you this if you give us the right to stream it. They're just pissing out money. It's amazing. Netflix, you my boo. I love you so much. So, yeah, this is great news, guys, and I cannot wait to see what else Netflix does in the future. And like, they were really close with Beast of No Nation, but it didn't quite work out, even though it got a SAG award or nomination. Or actually, I think it won as well. So, but in terms of Oscars, Amazon, I believe, is still the first one to do it, and it'll be interesting to see where the others kind of follow suit. So, sorry to talk about that for so long, but it just gets me super excited. All right, the next piece of news is that Kyle Chandler, speaking of Netflix, Kyle Chandler, he is in that amazing show Bloodline. If you guys are not watching this, I have a friend named Megan who... every time when Bloodline has a new season, we always talk about it and stuff, and like, she's the only person I know that actually watches it. So she's the only person I can kind of talk to with all the twists and turns in that show. But it's a really great show, and Kyle Chandler's character, like, all these people you don't really they're kind of awful people, but you want to root for them so bad for some weird reason. You want them to not be in so much shit. But Kyle Chandler is really great on that show. He's also in Manchester by the Sea, speaking of that, and he's a great kind of supporting role. I've always liked him in everything he's in, but Bloodline, if you guys are not watching that, please watch that show. Anyways, he's going to be playing the dad to Millie Bobby Brown in Godzilla King of Monsters. This is great. I mean, there's really no kind of downside to this. I want to see Kyle Chandler just kind of flex his acting muscles a little bit more, and let people know that he's a legit actor. And of course, he was on that football show Friday Night Lights. Never saw that show, but I hear it's pretty good. But I really like him in Bloodline. That's my TV show that I associate him with now. But this is all around great news, and I think him playing Millie Bobby Brown's father, I think it works out. I think they kind of look the same. So yeah, I'm totally down for this piece of news. The next piece of news is that Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen's one of my boys, and I'm always excited for whatever the hell he creates next. And so he's going to be in a comedy with Charlize, and I actually don't even think they've worked together before, which is amazing. Actually, they've never done it, because usually Seth kind of acts opposite, like very attractive people, and so it's kind of like that yin and yang, with the good looking like model of a person, and then you have Seth Rogen, who looks like me. Him and Charlize Theron are going to be in a comedy together, and the comedy is about Seth Rogen playing a journalist, and he kind of goes after his high school crush, played by Charlize Theron, many years later, but now she's kind of like an unattainable, very powerful woman in her job and whatnot, and so he's going to pursue. I don't know, it could be interesting. I know everyone's probably rolling their fucking eyes like, oh, Jesus Christ, get off of Seth Rogen's dick already. Listen, I think the guy's a really funny dude. I'm not a blind fanboy. There's a lot of stuff that he's done that I did not care for whatsoever. Like Green Hornet. Oh my God, was that bad. I didn't really like, what is it, The Guilt Trip? What was the one he did with Barbra Streisand? I didn't care for that one either. Usually when he does PG-13 stuff, I just, no thank you. And one of my favorite ones, two of my favorite ones he's actually done are both dramas, actually. Steve Jobs, that was a wonderful supporting role. And Take This Waltz with Michelle Williams. He's actually really good in that. So, yeah, I like Seth Rogen and what he does. And when he goes back to comedy, for the most part, it hits with me. Sometimes, like I said, it kind of falls flat. But for the most part, I like most of the comedies that he does. But working with him and Charlize Theron, that could be interesting, because when Charlize Theron is kind of like in those very strong female roles, she has like this like sarcastic tone to her acting, and kind of like that stern humor. It's like she's like the straight face, so you can't make her laugh type of deal. So I think having that go against Seth Rogen, it could turn out to be very funny. So I'm excited for it. So yeah, fucking sue me. You can just roll your eyes. I don't care. All right, next piece of news is that Nightwing is going to be in production. It's going to be helmed by Lego Batman director Chris McKay. Okay. Here's the deal. If you want to make a serious Nightwing movie, right? Which, I really don't care for Nightwing or the whole Robin character in general. One of my friends is absolutely crazy over Nightwing and Batman, so, this news, I'm sure he's, like, jumping up, down in joy, but he actually doesn't listen to the show because he doesn't like me, but I'm kidding. So, Nightwing, is basically like the young adult version of Batman. He's in many incarnations, like he comes from Robin, and he gets older, and he's Nightwing now. By having the Lego Batman director do this, I'm a little hesitant on it, only because, like, listen, I love the Lego Batman movie. I think what he did direction-wise was wonderful. It was a great satire. It was sharp. It was witty. It was fast-paced. It was so energetic, and he did a fantastic job on that, right? But that was a comedy. And yes, some of the actual, like, kind of comedy with heart moments in the Lego Batman movie. They actually worked. But Nightwing is going to be a super, dark movie, and it's going to play on a more, darker level than what Lego Batman movie was. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the capabilities of doing it, because I haven't seen anything from him. Because he was the supervising director, I believe that was his title, on the Lego movie. And now he's done a Lego Batman movie. So he's only done, like, family-oriented animated films. He has not done a live-action film yet. And if he has, please direct me to the last one he did. But I think that's the only two things he's done. So this is a huge task to kind of go from a wholesome kind of family action film to a very, like, mature type of film. So I don't know what type of style he has for that type of genre. But knowing that he's in the Lego Batman universe and he does know how to operate and construct a superhero film, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But when you're genre shifting like that, I just don't know what you're capable of. But we'll see. I'm curious to see what a Nightwing movie might look like. So there's that. So, and the last piece of news, guys. Listen. I'm so sick and tired of talking about DC and their fucking issues and problems every single week. But it seems like Matt Reeves was in talks to do Batman. 3 days later, he's not doing it anymore. And then 3 days later, he signed on to do it. Oh, my God. Can you please pick one story and just run with it and just kill it? Stop making something out of a story every 3 days. It's annoying. Anyways, I'm finally glad that he signed on the dotted line now. And having his sensibilities as a director coming onto this property, I think it actually works. Because when you look at what he did with Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, or even Cloverfield, or even Let Me In, he knows how to shoot a film. He knows how to create really good tension, really good drama, maybe a little good little romance here and there. Like he's got like this nice melting pot of all these genres that he can actually put together very seamlessly. And I really enjoy all the movies he's done thus far. Even, yes, the Let Me In remake. I have not seen the Swedish version. Let the Right One In. I hear it's way better. That's cool. I will check it out eventually. But as for just a remake, just a standalone movie, it was not bad. And I really enjoyed it. But my favorite thus far is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And taken from what Rise of the Planet of the Apes did, which was a really good movie, and elevating it to like a Dark Knight level status of a film, and just upping the quality in every single department, I'm excited to see what he can do with the Batman, and see what he can do in the kind of like this Gotham, seedy, dark universe. So I'm excited for it. Thank you for signing on the dotted line. Now, can we please shut the fuck up about it? So, all right. That's it for the news, guys. What was your favorite piece of news? Please comment that place right below my face and let me know. So let's talk about some trailers. There was actually a lot of them. So the first one is the Crucifixion, which is another exorcism movie. That's it. Listen, it looks like every other like exorcism movie, and to be honest with you, I only like a handful of them. My favorite exorcism movies, I have 3 of them. First and foremost, The Exorcist. Duh. But the 2 kind of modern ones I really like The Last Exorcism, and how they mixed found footage in with it and actually created genuine scares. And then The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is more of like a horror drama almost, because it's like it takes place half in like a courtroom, and then the other half we get to see like what they're talking about. So I really like that one. That's from director Scott Derrickson, who also did Sinister. So those are the only 3 exorcism movies I've actually really cared for. And what was that one called on Netflix? The Taking of Deborah Logan. That one wasn't bad either. I really enjoyed that one. But The Crucifixion just looks like the garbage half of exorcism movies, so not really looking forward to it. It did have some really kind of intense, creepy imagery, especially with the thumbnail of the video of the needle going into the eye. I hate touching eyes in general. Yeah, I'm just no, thank you. And I'm sorry that sentence sounded weird. Like, it made it seem like I touch eyes just occasionally. No, I meant like, because when I was in 8th grade one time, I tried to put contacts in my eyes and I couldn't do it because I don't like the feel of eyes. So that's what I was talking about. That did sound creepy though. So all right. So yeah, it just looks like the shitty half of exorcism movies. The next trailer is another Earth Day Disney nature film born in China about the panda bears. There you go. I mean, it's like clockwork. Ever since Earth came out in 2009, I remember I was working at the theater. I was like, oh, that was an interesting documentary. And then every single year since then, whether we're talking about African cats, chimpanzees, the oceans, now born in China. What else have they done? I believe that's it, which makes sense because it's been about 5 or 6 years. So, yeah, it's just another Earth Day Disney nature documentary. It looks good. And the thing is with these movies, I know I joke about them, but they actually have some beautiful cinematography and really nice nature photography in general. It's really kind of gorgeous that these people do risk their lives sometimes in these undocumented territories just to film these animals for us simpletons. But they do capture some really kind of gorgeous cinematography, so I will give them that. And John Krasinski is narrating this one because they always get like a big name actor to narrate the movies. I believe Morgan Freeman was Earth. Forgot it was Oceans. Samuel L. Jackson was one of them. That's all I remember. But Jim from The Office will be narrating this one. The next one is a documentary with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and he goes to correctional facilities to kind of shaping up the youth that's in there. It's called Rock in a Hard Place. Yeah, clever. Take that pun, take The Rock's wrestler name, and make a title of a movie. It looks interesting. I always like documentaries within the prison system because I think the prison system that we have today is kind of fucked up, and I just want to know more about it. And documentaries are a really kind of good learning tool on how it works, considering the fact that we have an Oscar-nominated documentary right now as we speak that's going up against a bunch of others for tonight with 13th, because that is a movie about the 13th Amendment, which basically took slavery, outlawed it, but actually didn't outlaw it and just put it into the prison system. So it was very fascinating to watch. So this looks really cool. Dwayne's going in there, toughening up these kids and be like, stop your shit. And there you go. It's from HBO Documentaries, I believe. So I gotta be honest with you, they're kind of slacking this year. I didn't really care for Beware the Slender Man, which was the one that came out in January. Some of the parts were fine, but it was a little too long for its own good. It just kind of replayed the same thing over and over again. It didn't really kind of go anywhere. So I thought it was just okay at best. So for me, HBO Documentaries is kind of slacking a bit, but that's okay. But this one looks pretty cool. The next one I'm going to talk about, oh dear God, Diary of a Wimpy Kid: The Long Haul. This looks like absolute cock shit. Like, you're going to sit there and tell me that you couldn't get back one of the actors from the previous three. What the hell's wrong with you? Now, I remember I saw the first Diary of a Wimpy Kid in theaters with my friend who's actually the Nightwing fan, and we both liked it. We were both laughing our asses off, and it was actually pretty funny for like a family-oriented film. Didn't see the second one, didn't see the third one, because they all looked like garbage. But the fourth one, this long haul, the long haul to the dump. What did I just watch? Like, watch the trailer. It's almost like they went back to 1995. They went inside of an executive's office, and they like bust down the door, right? And they're like, you better give me all the fucking recycled jokes from all the sitcoms and all the movies of this era. Give them to me. I'm going to apply them to 2017, motherfucker. They get the jokes, they come back, and then they make a movie. The jokes in this trailer are so horrendous and so flat. I was like, I don't know anyone that would laugh at this. Like, it was really bad. And on top of all that, like I said before, they didn't get any of the actors back. They couldn't even get Steve Zahn back. It's like, that's probably a nice paycheck gig for him, and you couldn't even get him back. It's like, it just looks awful. They switched all the actors. It doesn't even feel like the original three anymore, and I get it because the kids are getting older, but it's fucking weird. It's almost like the Home Alone situation where, Macaulay Culkin was in the first two, and the third one, I forgot his fucking name, but it was a different kid, and it was just fucking bizarre. Alright, so yeah, that looks like absolute garbage. And the second to last trailer is called Their Finest, which is a movie starring Gemma Arterton, is that how you pronounce it, and Sam Claflin. And what this one is about, I'm going to pull up IMDb because I don't want to fuck this up. But from the trailer, from what I remember, it's about making movies about war while a war is actually going on, and how you want to make these movies of war be perceived in front of the public. I think that was the gist of it. Let me check. That's what happens when you do shit live, guys. Oh God, I can't even find it. It's almost like IMDb was just like, yeah, we're gonna delete this now. Okay, there it is. Hurry up, internet. A British film crew attempts to boost morale during World War II by making a propaganda film after the Blitzkrieg. Okay, so I was kind of right. Yeah, so, basically the war is happening, and this film crew wants to make a propaganda film to basically make people a little bit more excited about, war and defeating troops and, on the other side and whatnot. It's a very interesting premise because it kind of blurs the line of, like, what's morally right and, what kind of information you want to get out to the public. Do you want how far do you want to skew it? How truthful do you want to be? Like, so it's a very interesting kind of play on that. And I thought the trailer was pretty well done. I really liked the production design of it. I like the actors. Bill Nye is also in it. So if I do get a screener for it, or if I get sent to a screening, I wouldn't mind going to see this, to be honest with you. It actually looks pretty intriguing. So, and I'm a sucker for anything World War II. So there you go. And the last trailer. This is not really a trailer. It's more of a 5-minute clip. But the reason why I wanted to include it is because it was actually really fun to watch and really kind of get you excited for this movie. So the clip is called The Last Supper, and it's actually the Alien Covenant prologue. So in this 5 minutes, essentially, is all the crew members in Alien Covenant, including Danny McBride, James Franco, Michael Fassbender, and Noomi Rapace, Catherine Waterston. Well, actually, Noomi was not in this clip, but Catherine Waterston is also in the clip. She kind of looks like a young Ripley. And so it's basically just them kind of talking or whatever, getting ready for their cryo sleep or whatever, and they're having their last meal, essentially, and they're kind of just talking, and we get a sense of, like, the banter that we're going to have with this crew. I really like this quip. I like this quip. I like this clip quite a bit. It gets you excited. It gets you in the zone, gets you in the mood for this universe and this movie. I'm excited for it. I really love Prometheus, so I'm excited to see what it really does in kind of this, like, prequel set universe of the Alien franchise. I thought the chemistry between everyone was really natural, organic. It didn't seem like anyone was just reading lines. It seemed like they were just kind of palling around on set, and they kind of captured it and really kind of got that, like I said, that authentic feel of, like, people in like a crew or a group or whatever. You want to have them all have, great chemistry or whatever. It looks like Danny McBride's going to be, more comedic relief, which is, what he does. But yeah, and then, James Franco in the clip is like, I'm not feeling so well. Oh, we know what's going to fucking happen. We're going to have some chest burster bust out and, like, eat your fucking face. Good old face huggers, man. You got to love them. But yeah, I like the clip. It was directed by Luke Scott, who is Ridley Scott's son, who also did Morgan and what else did he do? He did Morgan. So yeah, the clip was really well done and just kind of gets you set and ready for that movie because it comes out in a couple months. So amongst all this, like, big blockbuster superhero fare and all these other bigger movies, this is going to be a big movie as well, but you want to keep it into the public zeitgeist and be like, yo, this is coming out, here's a clip to kind of get you ready for it. I enjoyed it. So that's it for the trailers, guys. What did you guys think? What was your favorite trailer? My favorite trailer, I have to go with the Alien Covenant clip, and it wasn't even a trailer, so there you go. I was kind of light on trailers this week, but I did the best I could. So, alright, guys, the appetizers are out of the way. Now you're all here for the main show. You are here for my movie review of Get Out. Now, I was excited for this film. I really love anything that Jason Blum, plumps out of his production house. You guys know this. I am a huge Blumhouse Productions fan. I like the majority of his horror films. He's even done some interesting dramas, one of which was Best Picture nominated, and one of my favorite movies of all time with Whiplash. The guy is a very talented producer, and he knows how to create these horror movies that seemingly cost like $5 million, look more epic than they are, and cause to have a great return in profit. Now, earlier this year, he came out with Split, and Split was kind of hailed with critics and fans and stuff, and it made a shit ton of money. Get Out, I was expecting to be good, right? But when you're going into this movie with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 100%, it's hard not to be hyped, and it's really kind of hard to kind of subdue your feelings a little bit and be like, all right, don't get too overhyped or whatever, because then it could ruin the movie. I think it ruined it just a little bit, but what I can tell you this right now, when I walked out of Get Out, it's the same way when I walked out of Cabin in the Woods from 2012. This is going to be a cult classic. It just is. I really liked Get Out quite a bit. So let's get real and break down Get Out. So we'll start with the writing and directing. In terms of the actual story, I thought it was interesting. The end of the movie was, was creepy and unnerving and whatnot, but for the most part, the story was basically just mixing like the Stepford Wives, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, elements of Under the Skin, and like a traditional kind of horror thriller or whatever. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that as far as the story goes, it's a very solid movie story-wise. It's actually engaging from start to finish. They do not waste any time. They introduce the couple, and she goes, "We're going to my parents this weekend. Did you tell them I was black? Ha, 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 ha. Let's get in the car and go." So it's like there is no time wasted. Jordan Peele jumps into the movie and really kind of envelops you into this weird white community universe of these weird fucking people. I think this story, for the most part, is very engaging. It's enthralling, and it's just a very interesting horror film that does have a lot to say when it comes to the social relevance of the film. But going into I guess some of the negatives I do have with the actual story and the writing of it, there's one issue I have with it that was super major, but I can't say anything because it would be a spoiler. So I'm just gonna, if you want to know, just message me or whatever. But there was one thing that happened that was kind of like a cool reveal, but when I thought about it, I was like, well, why wasn't that a little bit noticeable before? It seems like it would be a pretty noticeable thing throughout the film. So once again, I'm kind of treading on thin waters right now. I don't want to spoil anything, but for the most part, I like the characters. They're very engaging. They're very well written for the most part. There's a couple of them I wish would have had a little bit more screen time or a little bit more development. But for the most part, if you're thinking of it as a straight-up horror thriller to really kind of get you, get your heart going and really kind of make you unsettled, this is the movie to do that. While also, like I said, having some social relevance, considering the fact that, with all the stuff going on with politics and just the world nowadays and stuff, it's kind of like a refreshing movie to watch, but it's also very terrifying. So let's move on to the directing, because this is where the movie shines the most. Comedian Jordan Peele, who is known for his comedy sketch show on Comedy Central, Key and Peele. He also did Keanu from last year, which I actually really enjoyed. He co-wrote that one. I think he's a funny dude. He is also a damn good horror director. The biggest compliment I can give Jordan Peele for this movie is that he seamlessly blends this awkward, delicious wickedness, this dark comedy presence, and also a terrifying look at this kind of alternate universe of not racism, but just social issues kind of crammed into this Twilight Zone type of episode. So he kind of mixes in a bunch of different genres that I actually think works out pretty well. Because when you watch the movie, there's a lot of tension built throughout. There's a lot of unnerving kind of awkwardness, and I think that's what Jordan Peele was kind of going for, because it is a horror film. You want to feel uncomfortable while watching it. And then also the next scene might be like a comedic scene from one of the supporting characters, and then you're kind of like relieving all that tension, and then you go back into that tense mode. So he kind of blends in very seamlessly. And if you want to look at this as a dark comedy that's super violent and bloody, I'm not going to fault you for that. I just think that there's a bunch of different genres kind of working with each other instead of against each other. I think that's the biggest praise I can give him, because the actual visual style and the direction of this film is very unique. It was almost like it's an experimental film in terms of some of the stuff that he did, and just visually, and I was like, wow, this is actually kind of really out there. I've really never seen this in kind of like a mainstream horror film. It's usually the same schlock over and over again. Yes, this movie does have a couple jump scares, but they're very effective, and they don't feel forced or anything. But the atmosphere that he creates is filled and kind of brimming with like that kind of that tension that just won't let up unless something comedic is happening on screen. I kind of love and admire the kind of experimental directing that he did, because like I said, there's some sequences that I was even sitting there as a film student going, wow, that was actually really fucking cool. And it was really kind of unique how he filmed this and put it together. Instead of making a very basic scene, he made a very simple scene seem very kind of thought out and very creative. So I don't know, there was something about his directing style that for a first time director was really well done in terms of creating a horror film, making it seem fresh, while being original and still feeling somewhat familiar to audiences that love these type of movies. Like I said before, there was a couple of times where it got like under the skinny with like that movie with Scarlett Johansson, which is one of the best movies of this modern era. But there was a couple sequences like that, and I was like, dude, even for a low budget like that, this looks awesome. Like, there was some stuff where I was like, wow, he really worked his budget with his magic and whatnot, and really kind of created something special. So, and to all those motherfuckers out there, and by motherfuckers I mean one motherfucker, Armand White, who said this is an anti-white movie. First of all, I want to say that this movie is not really racist. Like, it's very weird, because I don't want to say any more because I might dive into the spoilers, but it's not a racist movie. It's more of like, it's like a weird alternate universe of how white people think of black people. That's all I'll say. And like I said, it kind of felt like a Twilight Zone episode. It really worked in that regard. And the other thing for the anti-white comment, he does, like, this person does realize that his wife is white, right? Like, Jordan Peele is married to a white woman. Like, these fucking journalists, man. Anyways, I thought the direction overall was creepy. It was unsettling. It was exciting. It felt fresh. I love the way he edited some of his sequences together to really kind of just kind of add a little bit more horror to it, instead of doing like a traditionally like cut scene or whatever. He would try different techniques and whatnot. So yeah, I really enjoyed it from the directing standpoint for sure. And like I said, story wise, very solid for the most part and very engaging. There was a couple, like that one issue I was talking about, and some of the characters could have a little bit been more fleshed out, or had a little bit more screen time and whatnot. But I think the overall like mystery of the story is pretty intriguing, and really just kind of leaves you kind of uncomfortable as you leave the theater. But I think that was the whole point. And also the ending of the movie was pretty cool. I like the what he did with that. Acting wise, Daniel Kaluuya, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I probably mispronounced it, but anyways, he plays the main character, Chris, I believe, and he's really good. Like, he's actually magnetic on screen. Like, every single scene that he was in, he was so enjoyable to watch, because we just see this character who's very, happy-go-lucky, like, hey, I'm meeting my girlfriend's parents. I'm a little cautious because they're white and I'm black, but I'm still excited and stuff, into this like downward spiral of horror and fright, and you just see it in his face, and his facial acting and his crying scenes in particular are amazing. This guy is an extreme talent, and he was also in one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes as the main character. So I know this guy has talent, and he is absolutely divine in this. Like he is just so much fun to watch. Allison Williams, she's best known for her role Marnie in Girls, which I'm actually currently watching with my girlfriend. But she was really good in the movie too. Bradley Whitford, he is terrifying. Like that fucking low buzz cut that he has with the all white hair, he looks like a villain. It's so good on how they dressed him up and kind of made up his hair. And then Catherine Keener is also really kind of creepy and just like, lady, you're kind of freaking me out with your hypnosis shit. Like, get out of here, please. And then, of course, there's another character. I actually don't want to spoil that one because he kind of just pops up. And I was like, oh, okay, we're adding another person. So, anyways, that person was terrifying and frightening. And then the comedic relief from Little Rel Howery. He plays Chris's friend in the movie, Rod, which is really funny because not only does he have my coworker's name, he actually looks like my coworker that has that name. So, yeah, black guy and all. So I think it's like super funny because he looks exactly like him. Anyways, he was the comedic relief in the movie, and everything that came out of his mouth was really kind of funny and really just kind of let you release that tension that you were just kind of building up in your seat while grabbing the armrests and stuff, and you're like, fuck, man, what's going to happen? And this next scene would be him, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, it's like a dark comedy, okay. No, but he's really good. I thought his presence was really enjoyable and really kind of light. Yeah, it was kind of like that light contrast to the kind of like dark, weird subject matter, so I really enjoyed his supporting performance for sure. Who else was in this? That's about it. Oh, the kid from Atlanta. I forgot his name, but he's really good too. I've always liked him ever since I saw him in Short Term 12. So he's really good in this as well. I think the acting all around for a horror film is really fucking well done. Like, especially the one scene in the trailer where you see Daniel Kaluuya like in the chair, like looking like a deer in the headlights, and the stream of tears just rolled down his face. Like, that's the type of acting we're dealing with, and it's like really kind of powerful acting, which is really great because I'm glad that someone actually gives a shit about the performances. Cinematography wise, it's fine. I really appreciate a couple of the set designs and like the art direction of some of the scenes, because I thought they really kind of added a little level of atmosphere and mood to the entire movie. But in terms of like overall movie, it's a competently shot film, and there's a couple of shots that Jordan kind of lingers on to really kind of drive in like that unsettling terror in your little heart as you're watching. But for the most part, it's a competently shot movie. I wouldn't say like this is the movie you go for cinematography, but as far as a horror film goes, it's fine. And that one under the skin sequence that I'm talking about was really well done. And I was thinking to myself, as a filmmaker, I was like, how the fuck did he do this? Like, so that one shot was fucking awesome. I really like that one because it's also, you know, symbolism for like, you know, how his characters are feeling and like what's actually happening. Once again, I can't really say anything as I'll go into spoilers, but I really enjoyed the way it was shot. Editing wise, this movie's about an hour and 40 minutes, I believe, hour 50. Dude, this fucking movie flies. For a movie that has the simple premise of a couple going to visit the girlfriend's parents, and then things starting to get a little weird, if you will. It was so inviting, and like I said, as soon as the movie started, I was immediately sucked in. I was hooked, and all the scenes are constructed so well with all the banter back and forth between the characters, you're just kind of intrigued, and you're like, wow, this is like getting really intense, and I'm really kind of enjoying this sequence. And then we get into another sequence, you're like, I enjoy this sequence too. So there's never a dull moment, in my opinion. It just seems to flow so well, going from this kind of harmless, thing to what the fuck is actually happening. But it leads to a very cool climax. It leads to a very bloody climax, and you were rooting for the main character all the way, and especially with all the shit that he's gone through. But I think for the most part, I think the tension is there, while still being visually interesting in some parts, and then also with the comedic relief, it just it's kind of like that nice pause in the movie to really kind of get you laughing, get your heart pumping a little bit, and then going back to the scary scenes and whatnot. So yeah, I think for the most part, editing wise, it is really well done. And talking about some of the special effects, those are really well done too. I'm telling you right now that Under the Skin sequence, it's pretty cool. And I say Under the Skin because when you watch Under the Skin, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I mean, that's it. There was a critic that said that, and I was like, Under the Skin, that's kind of weird. And then once I saw the sequence, I was like, yeah, that critic was right. So, special effects, practical effects, and all that stuff, especially with the violence and the blood and stuff, I thought it was really kind of gritty and intense, and just really kind of made you like kind of squirm in your seat, because there was a couple of them I was like, oh fuck, man, like that's a very realistic prop right there. And music, I gotta bring this up. For the music, this film, with Jordan Peele's direction, was also experimental in its music. Every single scene had a piece of music that was different from the previous scene. There was never like one consistent song or piece that played throughout. It was more of like, this scene had this music, this scene had this music, but for some weird reason, it actually worked. It didn't feel jumbled or messy at all. It felt like you were like in this weird like hypnotic trance with every single scene, because each scene has a specific styling of music that really kind of envelops you into this world even more, especially when in the scene in the trailer where he's like, the tear rolls down his face. That whole sequence, that music is kind of haunting. And then we get into the end of the film where it's like, it's kind of exciting, and you're rooting for the main character to get out of this fucking house. See what I did there? Anyways, in different scenarios in the movie, different pieces of music will play, and it actually worked for the characters and the situation at hand. So I gotta say, the music was extremely experimental for this film, because it was so different each time, and there was not one similar piece, unless I'm blanking, but there were so many of them that I enjoyed listening as I enjoyed watching what was happening on screen. So guys, overall, I think this is a very solid effort from Jordan Peele. It is wickedly entertaining. It is darkly comedic, and it's got some weird social issues that are very relevant to today. And because like I said, when you watch the movie, you're like, this is so far fetched. It's like an alternate universe. But when you actually think about it, you're like, wow, that's actually really smart for a horror film, especially making it in modern time. I really enjoyed this one. I need to watch it again before I actually love it. But for right now, I'm going to give Get Out a B+. I like this film quite a bit. I think you'll like it too if you like horror films, and especially Jordan Peele's first directorial effort, and it's a horror film since he's known for comedy. Good fucking job, dude. And Jason Blum, you're knocking it out of the park with two greatly produced movies this year, so keep that up too. So what did you guys think of Get Out, or have you even heard of it? Comment place that's right below my face and let me know. And let's get into it, guys. The box office results for the weekend. This is the big moment where we find out how Get Out did. Oh no, this is actually the first time in a while where Box Office Mojo does not have the numbers up yet. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is go on a different site. Hold on, fam. Hold on. I thought if I wait until 11 Central Time, it would work, but man, you guys hear that? Someone done fucked up. All right, let's just check this out and see if they have it. No, they don't. What the hell? Do they even have? This is so fucking weird. Okay, so this one has the numbers and stuff for this weekend. So anyways, Get Out premiered. Rock Dog and Collide were also and My Life is a Zucchini, which is one of the animated features nominated for an Oscar. So first of all, Collide came in at 13th with 1.5 million. Woof, because they opened up in a little over 2,000 theaters. That's really bad. Rock Dog actually did better with 3.7 million. That's really bad when that film beats it. And it was just a little over 2,000 theaters as well. All right, so getting into number 5. Ugh, gross. We have 50 Shades Darker, 50 Shades Shittier, 50 Shades of whatever the fuck. Made 7.7 million, and its total gross domestically is... What? Fuck. So domestically, it's made 103 million. Worldwide, it's made 293, and domestically is the U.S. and Canada, and worldwide is everywhere. On a budget of skirpity skirp. On a budget of 55 million, so you guys know the rule. You got to double the budget. So 110, and with the marketing and PA, I'm going to say maybe 20 million, so maybe 130 million, maybe even more. I would say 150 just to break even. It's made almost 300. Fuck me, they're definitely going to do the third one. Jesus. All right, number 4 is The Great Wall with, hold on here, with 8.7 million. Interesting. And right now, domestically, it's made 34, but worldwide, it's actually made 279 total. Its international box office is 244, and its domestic is pretty bad here. But its budget is 150 million, so doubling that, we're looking at 300. Also, PA and marketing, I'm gonna say about 325, 330, because they didn't do too much advertising. So the fact, that they've almost made 300 is pretty damn shocking to me, which means they could break even. For the most expensive film in China, so interesting. Number 3 is John Wick Chapter 2 with 9 million. Yeah, I like John Wick Chapter 2 quite a bit. Right now, domestically, it's got 74 million, and worldwide, it's got 106. That's very, very good, because it's doing at least double what the first one did. Because the first one total, I think, only made like 80 million worldwide. The fact that this has made 106, they're making the third one for sure. On a budget of 40 million, doubling that to 80 with its PA and marketing, I'm gonna say about 100 million to break even, and it's already made 106, and it's gonna keep going, and so it's gonna make a little profit for sure. All right, number 2 is the Lego Batman movie with 19 million. Yeah. Okay, and domestically it's got 133. Worldwide, it's got 204. Interesting. What is the budget? 80 million. So. Doubling that to 160, and with all the PA and marketing, I'm going to say about 200, 210 to break even, and it's almost there at the break-even point if it hasn't already, so it's getting close. And Get Out is number 1, obviously, with $30 million. That is so good for this type of horror film. There's no worldwide box office numbers, just domestic, but this is what I was talking about, guys, with Jason Blum and how fucking smart this guy is. The production budget for Get Out was $5 million. $5 million. You double that, we're looking at 10. With PA and marketing, because they did a pretty good marketing campaign, I'm going to say probably 15, 20 million tops to break even. They made 30 in their opening weekend. And with the 100% Rotten Tomatoes score, it's just going to further its chances at getting more money as the weeks progress, especially when Logan comes out next week. It's going to be nice counter-programming. So this is really great news for Jordan Peele. I'm sure they signed a deal to where, like, Jordan Peele's going to get a certain percentage for whatever the gross is, and so he's going to get a nice paycheck from this, even from his initial pay from the movie itself. But yeah, Get Out, great news. So $30 million, that is fucking awesome. All right, guys, that will do it for this week's episode. Thank you for listening once again. I want to remind you guys that this is not the only episode I have going on today. Later tonight, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be recording the Oscars live commentary with me and Terrence Page. This is our third year doing it, so come join us and listen to us kind of banter and see who gets the most categories correct and whatnot. It's a lot of fun. I always like doing it with Terrence and stuff, and this is our third year doing it, so it'll be a lot of fun. So that will be later tonight. Next week for episode 171, I will be doing my review of Logan. Now, if you haven't gone to my YouTube channel yet, I've already reviewed the film. But for the podcast listeners that don't go to my YouTube page, and this is where you get your info from me, in audio form, next week will be the long-awaited review of Logan, since I saw it 2 weeks ago. I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. It is so wonderful, but I'll get into more details next week. So that'll be next week's episode is Logan. The following week will be Kong Skull Island, and the following week after that will be Beauty and the Beast. And then the following week after that, I don't know if I'll have a show or not. I just got to see if I see any movies before I leave to go to California, because I'm going to go visit my girlfriend for a few days. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the next 3 weeks lineup for you guys is Logan next week. The following week will be Kong Skull Island and maybe the Belko Experiment. Or no, I think the Belko Experiment comes out the next week. And then Beauty and the Beast and maybe the Belko Experiment. But I might throw some another movie next to Kong, and I might throw another movie next to Beauty and the Beast. It depends on if I have time. But those will be the three major releases I'm going to be reviewing. So it will be a lot of fun, everyone. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's @RealChaseLee. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow on Spreaker. Like this, share it around, and let people know this is the definitive movie podcast. It's passable. But yeah, so let me know all your comments down below, and tune in later tonight for the Oscars, and then next week for Logan. I'm Chase Lee, guys, and this has been another episode of Real Man Colon Movie Podcast. And hey, listen, if you made it through this entire episode and you're not a movie fan, well, hopefully I convinced you to be one. All the links in the description below for all my social media, including the intro and outro music's band, Fervent Roze, one of my friends' band here in Dallas. They supply the music. Go check them out. Speaking of them, let's play them. See you guys next week.